Hello, and good afternoon. Temple Grandin once said, there needs to be a lot more emphasis on what a child can do instead of what he cannot do. At some point in our lives, we all want to have children and start a family. But what if your child can never make eye contact with you? What if they could never say, I love you? Does this make them any less intelligent than a quote-unquote normal child? Does this make you love them any less? These are realities that parents of children with autism have to face every day. And that's why I'm here to talk to you. Not only because I have personal experience in dealing with children with autism, but also to create a better understanding about autism. Because the chances of this becoming your reality is a lot more common than you think. Because according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, autism affects 1 in every 68 children born in the United States. So in order to create a better understanding about autism, one must know the causes of autism, understand the risk factors, and keep an open mind. Today, when I talk to you about what autism is, I'll give you a definition and talk about the causes. When I talk about the risk factors, I'll be telling you about the signs and symptoms, who all is exactly at risk for autism, and treatment options. And then lastly, and most importantly, why open-mindedness is so important. And then I'll be telling you a personal story about my experiences with autism. So let's start with some basic facts. Autism spectrum disorder is a complex developmental disability. It affects someone's ability to communicate and interact with other people. Signs and symptoms usually start in the first 1 to 3 years of life, but can also present themselves in the first 12 months. Autism has 2 main causes, genetically and environmental. Genetically, there's not a single known cause for autism, but studies show that multiple gene interactions, rare mutations, and other chromosomal abnormalities are all reasons for autism in children. Brain scans also show differences in shape and structure in a healthy brain and an autistic brain. For example, information conveying visual and emotional feelings is a pathway that runs from the front of the brain to the back. And this type of synchrony and communication is lacking in an autistic child, which is an indicator why they have many social problems. Environmentally, heavy metals such as mercury are more prevalent in our current environment, and autistic children have a metabolic impairment that reduces the ability to break down these metals and get rid of these toxins. And the buildup of these toxins can cause brain damage, nerve damage, and developmental delays. So now that we've talked about the basic facts of autism, let's dive into the risk factors and who's all at risk. So according to Rebecca Landa, the primary risk factor is family history. Parents who have 1 child with autism have a 5% chance of having another child with autism. Other risk factors include older fathers, premature birth date, and light birth weight. Signs and symptoms usually surface around 12 to 18 months of life, but it's hard to diagnose before 24 months. And so these signs and symptoms include no baby talk, no pointing, no muffled noises, no signs of social development, and these only progress as a child gets older. So who all is at risk exactly? More than 3.5 million Americans are diagnosed with autism today, and the prevalence has increased by 119.4% from 2000 to 2010. Boys are 4 to 5 times more likely to develop autism than girls, and autism does not discriminate. It is prevalent in all ethnic and racial groups. So some of the risk factors, or the treatment for these risk factors, like I said, autism is a spectrum disorder, so it varies differently for each individual. It may not be as intense for one than it is for another. So all the forms of treatment are very different. Treatment includes different types of therapies such as behavioral management, cognitive, nutritional, and occupational therapy. There's also medication treatment, and obviously the best type of treatment is early detection. So I've thrown a lot of facts and figures your way about autism, which is great. But now I want to talk to you about autism on a much deeper level, keeping an open mind. I know my interest in autism got started when I worked at summer camp with Cook Children's dealing with mainly autistic kids. And I know I personally held my own concepts about mentally handicapped children. I thought they weren't like me, so they're not normal. They're less intelligent, I wouldn't be able to connect with them, and it would not be a very good experience. But at the end of the week, I was very happy to admit that I was dead wrong. This week completely broke my concept of a normal child. I focused too much on the kid's disability and not much on the ability, which is what I'm sure a lot of us do. And that's okay as long as we keep an open mind. By the end of the week, these kids were taking selfies with me and giving me hugs when I asked them if they were going to miss me. This is a week that definitely changed my life and something I will remember forever. So today we talked about autism. I gave you the definition and some of its causes. I also told you about who all is at risk and hopefully gave you an awareness that autism is more common than you think. And lastly, I told you about keeping an open mind and my personal experiences with autism. Thank you guys for listening. I hope I was able to create a better understanding and awareness, but also reiterate the idea that autism is not a disability, but a different ability. Thank you.
You stop it?
Yeah.
You did everything?